그시 군가를 패스와요.
Game Pass.
오, that's right.
근데 뭐 되는 구두 쇼르나 라시나. 구두 페이지에 같이 온라인에 다운로드 지어.
어떡해. 저는 싫다.
구두 페이지에 온라인. If you have a recitation book, so we're going to say in Tibetan first on page number 10. In English, on page number 11, I take refuge in the Guru, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. From now until my enlightenment, I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By the merit created in this practice, may I attain the state of Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and causes. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes. May all sentient beings never be separated from joyful bliss. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment, and anger. This ground, renowned to be perfumed, strewn with flowers, Mount Meru, encircled by the four continents, surmounted by the sun and the moon, I visualize this Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy the pure land. Idam Guru Rana Medala Kameya Daya.
여튼에 아까 봤을
이들 스틸러.
안에 상관도 내 주다 연구 상관도 다 돈을 열다 너무 이런 좀 상관도 다시 들으시고요 시라 전에 대량 못한 로만도 담보범 로만도 공도 그때 당에 로마고는 다리 범는 샘돌로 제대되네 되네 어떤 만지는 거치고네 다 삼로당 속하정 이 가정자 베비니 말은 뭐지 간혹 당에 요런 중원데라 뭐지게 송고 어떻게 나타 기타랑 송지 요까지랑 송지나 제 송인 바다 디낭네 에 사버터 모놈 잡고다 단당하고 저 샵지시 저촌디가 막 수소나만 좀 샵지시 좀베네 지금 레시바 데이터당 디 사버터 디낭네 지 만바당 나요도 저다 오늘 진짜 돈링 냠는지 수소랑 지 시시연된 좀 단디드 초라칸라 소나만 좀 바시네 파송네 파쇼고 나비기 등은다 난 강탐치 서세 렌지네 어떤 데가 냠는지가 또 오늘 선생님이 냠는데 스텔레지 세랑지 고래지 어디서 이런지니 소소랑 니급했다 베나 당아도 단다 이엔도 탑고를 탑수 뛰는라 안에 지금 알아도 예트와가 맞추지 더 알아도 오늘 가라 요르지는 알아도 오늘 소소랑 니 송집진데 소소 나차도 소소랑 니는 보고 말죠 근데 jan나 랑니만 거는 jan나 보고 말었던데 진데 또 송집지 요때 같이 있는 것도 지레지 된차다 알아도 소소랑 그때랑 니 송토와이나 아니 적당 랑진 탐치로 송집지 터요래 약근들라 송집지도 나염들라 공구지 터요래 만실당 마요도돌라 판도지 터요래 베나 랑니 나바차이나 랑니 디낭 나이나 파시송 파쇼로 쇼송 된차다 나바당 수초말 강에 채고 된데이다 처음에 삼로당 내에는 지방바당 만실당 접당 안에 내가 진거 지용 거 신경킹게 정말로 안에 지기다 스시와 용도라 안에 삼로당 돈음단에 다리 또내 접은 나바당 나요 된 탐질라 지 내메담 체랑 왔당 내 મં고 왔당 내 용큰다 정체 여든 내 리턴 제트와 된게 몰람 되는 거도 다른 도인지
That's all. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining me on this cyber space Dharma conversation. Although I can't physically see you, or we are not physically share the same space here together, but nevertheless, we are fully connected, and so we can spend time together, do something very meaningful. First of all, and I think you probably have heard the Rinpoche watched and saw and hear Rinpoche's short video. So the video about the in this particular period of time, and so what we need to do is self-protection. We need to practice self-protection, and self-protection is, and as Rinpoche said, is other protection. So you protect yourself and from infection, not being affected by the COVID-19, and is what you're doing is protecting others from sickness. So it is very critical, very important, and so we're going to do the same practice and at the beginning of today's session, meaning that we're going to reciting the Torah mantra and then meditate on Torah. Before we do that, again, just like I said, and Rinpoche have sent this video in the So please, you maybe watch it, and you have learned what Rinpoche say. Just in case you haven't do it, and please go ahead watch it, because what Rinpoche said is that not just say you protect yourself, and that's how critical it is, and because it's equivalent to you protect the others. But at the same time, we also have to say the prayers, express our great and most profound great attitude to others, and specifically those doctors and nurses, and all the volunteer works, and whoever provided the service, and taking care of the the people who've been infected, and who working tirelessly and around the clock, and in the hospital, and from all kinds of the service, the companies, and the service and entity, so we need to really appreciate them, and being very, very grateful, and even rejoice what they have done, and they are doing, and consider what they're doing is actually the Bodhisattva's deeds, because they are really dedicated, and they put their life and their health in a huge risky, and to protect others. So therefore, it is a form of a Bodhisattva's deeds. We must very, very grateful. At the same time, it also should be grateful to whoever is try to maintain the order, such as like the servicemen of the government, and whoever and hold the office, and perform their duties, and who are responsible for, and who are taking great responsibility, and then to make sure everything is properly running, and despite the quarantines or the shutdown and businesses and the schools, and many other business sectors. So anyway, the point again, like what you said, you protect yourself is you protect your family member, you protect your neighbor, and you protect your community, and in large you protect your country, and also the whole international communities. So yes, we need to really think about this and seriously, and make sure that if you secure yourself and protect yourself from not being ill, you will not create any troubles, and by not making yourself as a patient, you will free those doctors and nurses, and whoever is working very hard. So therefore, yes, being grateful, rejoice what you're doing, but continuously follow the order, and practice self-quarantine properly. So now we recite in the Arya Tara's mantra. So while you will say the mantra and recited the Tara mantra, remember that say your prayers and dedicate your prayers to the powers of your prayers, or the merits of your prayer, to those who are ill and sick, and may they be able to regain their health quickly, and for those also wish and prayer, and those who are healthy can maintain in good health.
We are on page 74. If you want to say the mantra. Om 두다라의 제본세마 도레도나 탐제데마 소와에게 절라라노 옴 다레 드다레 소하 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 옴 다레 드다레 소하
야, 다 같은 전자가 주님만으로 주시라.
So now let's continue our discussion and from where we were left last time.
보이 그 집시식 동안들가 한
yeah. Also
한바몽 공차 매비 산이 영을 높이 판바지 정들이니 고르고 몽트시 노기 도모도 참매비 산인들 시풍이 노바 첨부 지중기 동니 실 남고비 럭스트마 테비 레동 컨테용드난 그스터치라 드네 저카동 동카 저카동 다카 동카시비 초대용 제 케이저 톱들이니 성월시죠 경지 키 마종나 경지 키와 종나 캄보동 도훈 영쪽 영으로 마 파만 예든 남소 가을시비 체밀 종 은대용 드난드기시 다 니셔동자 근데 첼메 바테 땅더니 공부때네 안에 가도이나 레도니오다 레도 용스 레도 용화도 체메 용사때 다 강내 용화래나 싸와때 말라트니 용거다 말라 직지 말라 직 톱마 용스 말라들이 종으로가 용 말라들이 키라가 용스니 레와도 도바니 때문이다 레와도 말라 키라가 나서미 레와들이 도바데 말라 종으로 거선 종으로 용스 남도 그 말라 다치 마우치선 도바데 니오트가네 용사데 사이 무바데 말람니 용거든 데 잉인지 다 어때네 아니 체메바스 소소랑 일라 캐펜지 종아이나 다 소소랑 그 파마이 날에 게인 날에 라마이 날에 쪽년대 날에 자창이 날에 상말로베 야원도지 소소 캐핑기 쳇 같이네 전페 야원도 용거지 버리지 체메지야 지금 체메지한테 뭐일 소소랑 일라 캐펜 토용수 전 레당요 체메지 송 어디니가 대체네 등영인지 지오라 다 아틀로크 겨정다 등이 만드시겠네.
So on your translation page 49, so it goes, it reads like this: we fight with the swords, arrows, and spear in hope of gaining victory and profit. And when we lost, we console ourselves by accusing somebody else. We have within us an evil being who shamelessly blames all problems on our learned teachers and abbots, our friends, and those dear to us, our parents and relatives. So essentially, we have briefly went through this last time, and so what's the essential point of the above reading is that it points out the causes of our problem. We experience all kinds of miseries and or undesirable experience, and all of them are actually related to the two things and or two fundamental attitudes, or that two attitude is one is hoping for gain something, obtain something, and another is fear for being lost or not be able to keep it. So hoping and to gain and fear of losing or get lost and or being defeated. These two attitudes and is derived from one source or caused by one particular thing. That thing is our understanding, our attitude, what we call the fundamentally called I. And so we first of all have this I, and then from this I, we have this I of I want this, I do not want that. Or in other words, and so I want to get this. That means that you aimed to obtain something, to achieve something, and then keep it something, and maintain on the possessions or whatever you have obtained. And then at the same time, because this I, and you also have naturally have this fear of you will be attacked on, you will lose whatever you have gained or achieved. And so, yeah, we are sort of focused on a particular source of which from where all these problems been manifested. So that very source who manifested is a fear of a loss and hope or wish to gain. Essentially, is your mistaken sense of I or misperception of self. And because of this, and then this I misperception and the influence of this misperception of self or self-centered attitude, you will practice something, and the author says is shameless. You will become a shameless someone who is shamelessly will blame all the problem to others, even disregard the most important people who played a very significant role in your life. For example, that because you want to gain something, or in order to protect what you or fail to protect what you have gained, you probably will shamelessly blame on the problems of loss or have or fail to gain whatever you desired for to your spiritual teacher or learned teachers and the abbot and your spiritual friends or your friends and anyone who is dear to you, and of course your parents probably, and your relatives. You always point your finger to somebody else whenever you feel that you've been threatened, or you are a selfishly motivated person, and whatever you have gained is about facing the in danger to loss, and you will doing all this shameless thing. And so, but then when you analyze this, why this happens, and all of them goes back to one source. That is your misperception of the self.
Oh yeah. And then it's your don't share with it.
Now I'd like to share you a story related to this very topic.
Motorcycle 그런 모바일 고쇼 그런 거 잡로쇼 앵이 그런 레 아주 모바일 요도 뭐 앞에 시기들 그런 거 렌드 잡는 게 요마는 당보시는 아시글 디지고 교식을 냠티식을 맞도 교신이 알하로 저 된들 하고 말은 지난 냠시 시글 쓰 들라서 말 랭게 삼는 게 보시셔게지요 어리 교시 소는 아 분라게 강하는 지나다 냠시 시글 쓰는 게 뜻이시라 Tenang moda ma bobashin mandu ting na ngam tasang moda damne tes ta thon da beshi gyura tene charge gan ma ji osong ne mai ka ji ni langka si chom ne tene pinyang ka so chos nga chom ne twe dwe boba chus ka so kan lam sa gam ni chom ne twe dwe ra twe ne pa ndu ni sam no tong ne da nge ta da position si dan do ma da karma ka si ngona position ta ko pe ta ko la so ko gamo si shon ne that you ask the Yam the shoes the Johnson doing the thing Katina, some jigment the money on that Katanga Nanzing on the Geneva, Tangata Sigri, and the Matogota, some as Jesus. That Tikatan then the Shayton Manitanaga, Cheme Bade Chade, Nanzing on the Gen. And that reto rewarding not Tanas among us, she will stop at the reto Chama on the Jedor. The did is then Narangutan and Yamno from Juju, Tingy Katina Semna, Margilla Katina the Sanguios. Some words handled the chits.
And the story I like to share with you actually is I am the one who actually is the main characters of the story. And back to, and a long time ago, back to India, in South India, in the monastery. One day, and let's say that, so what I usually, when I need to go to the town, and for some important things, and usually I will bike, so ride on bike and then go. But one time I have friends and who use this motorcycle, and so who said, "Come on, I take you and I give you a ride." So then he put me and behind him, and then we started to travel and and then because I had previously a bad experience with the car accident. So whenever I'm on the motor vehicles, and I just naturally feel nervous and feel worried about it. So I told my friends and said, "Hey, drive carefully, and so I don't want to die." So then the driver, cycler, he said, my friend, he said, "What do you talk about? And if anything terribly happen, and if death comes, and I would be the first person because I'm driving the vehicle, the motor vehicle, so the scooter, and so you will not be the one, but I'm be the first one." Then I said, no, and if we die and we die together, then it's not that you die first and then I left behind, and so that will not happen. And I made such a claim, and so it sounds like I'm not afraid of death, and I'm kind of a very courage. I have a very strong person. But then, as we travel and down the road, I saw a heap of buffalo. The water buffaloes sort of emerged on the road, and the motor. My friend who was driving the motorcycle and seems still behavior recklessly. And at that point, and I got so scared off. And then all of a sudden, so he sort of reduced the speed of the motorcycle. And then at that point, I jumped out of the motorcycle and run because I was really scared of that could cause some huge accident. And then he stopped the motorcycle. He turned his head back to me and yelled to me, says, "You liar! You are a coward! And you said we will die together, and and you're not afraid of death. See what you did, And he sort of laughed at me and also criticized me, being contradictory what I have said and what I did. And so whenever I think about this story, and the stories often appear in my head over and over again and again. So in the context of this topic, what we just said earlier, so you can clearly tell, and from my own behavior, how this self-centered attitude or self-grasping being manifested at first place, right? First of all, I've been arrogant, and that's the form of the appearance of self cherishment and self-centeredness, because I said, oh, if we die together. So there's an I there. It seems strong and solid, concrete, very sort of very much sort of there. And then I sort of trusted it and gave it some kind of power to it. And then later on, I began to worry that I will involve the motorcycle accidents. And then that's a sense of, again, self-grasping or self-cherishment is manifested differently. And now it's the fear. So first was arrogant, and it manifested as arrogant. And then when I began to worry about the motorcycle accident, then the self-centeredness or cherishment is manifested as a coward. And finally, I jump out of the motorcycle and disregard my friend's safety. And that's, again, is the manifestation of the self-centeredness or this self-cherishment. Because here, you see, and I am that very shameless person. Okay? In order to protect my own life or my own safety, now I abandon my friends. I jump out of the motorcycle, which is absolutely the perfect example of how shameless I was. And so sometimes when I think of this story, and I even feel very embarrassed myself. So yes, from these stories, and you can see that the self-centeredness is how it manifested through various contexts or in various occasions. So when we talk about the Buddhist instruction or teachings of Buddhism in terms of instruction or the styles of the instruction, there are many forms of it. For example, the experiential instruction or instruction based on the personal experience or realization, and all the instructions of the authentic, the spiritual, and then the scriptural and knowledge, and and then instructions of the introduction to the philosophical views, and so on and so forth. There are many different ways to share or teach the Dharma, and I myself here supposed to be giving you some kind of instruction and teach you something. And although I shouldn't teach you something very beneficial, for example, like how to share my experience, teach you like that something that's from my own experience. That's my experience of the practice of loving kindness and compassion. Unfortunately, I don't have the experience and direct realizations from I obtained from the meditations on loving kindness, compassion. But I do have a lot and direct experience, the first-hand personal experiences and of the practices such as desire and anger and ignorance. So that's what my experience is, and I'm sharing here with you.
And social pen token says Shaman saying want to Tori Lamla to want to Nilaka Lamla to Shamyan Shan share she's on the Jason Diana Matani dictate on Dedi de Royanza, they showed the most imagine Della Matani Trondeji Gomzina that didn't have to do it or Digitavana and to Shimbo Yoris. Tengi to the Revashig, the Marangina de Batuji and the Congress at the Revashig, Stambung around Semona. Which is Surag Nomush of Tamang in the whole Chili. 신이 시송오 신나 뜻 그자인 방인 진진의 때 아니 맞니 동는 지금 맞죠 지금
Yeah, it is. I'm serious, and it is important to fully recognize and clearly identify your own mental attitude and your state of mental being. So our task as a practitioner is that to always try to and fully be aware of or realize and understand what kind of mind or mentality we're sort of live with or engaging or sort of holding in because in our mind, we have all kinds of the mental attitude, and we're going to have the sort of experience ourselves, our very existence throughout or by experiencing all kinds of mental activities and mental experience, or in other words, is the thought or attitude. Some thought and some attitude and within us as serve us as a friend, almost a dear one, and others acting like the foe or the enemy. So our task is that always pay close attention, be aware of what kind of attitude, thoughts or mind we have within us. If the thoughts or mind or attitude that is acting serve us like a friend and plays a very dear and nice the job or rule, and then we must make a friend with it and tie up to that, keep that, maintain the relationship or keep engaging with that positive and friendly, most beneficial thoughts or attitude or mind, and vice versa. Whereas if we experience something that is destructive, afflictive, and it is very distracting and harmful. In other words, is like an enemy, and then we must immediately do something about it, and to cope with those negative thoughts right on the spot, because we know that just like dear friends and close friends and your the most significant ones who doing your favor, make you happy or sustaining you with the happiness and peace and prosperity, and also your external enemy, and for the sake of convenience of a conversation, let's say, and then as they're going to make you frustrated and painful misery. So similarly, your internal enemy, foes, and you must, when they arise, as soon as you recognize they are there and is about or attempting to influence your action, and then you must warning yourself and get a sense of urgency and to understand, hey, no, I must not empowered and this negative thoughts or this enemy like the mind and influence me or and do whatever that their mind tells me, because that afflictive emotions or the destructive thoughts, harmful intentions, and so on and so forth. And those, because they're negative, so therefore they are actually serve as the cause of suffering, and as my immediate suffering in my the troubles and immediately cause me suffering and immediately. And so in the long run, from a samsaric point of view or a cyclic existence point of view, they're going to bind me up or tied me up to the samsara and longer, and then they will refrain me from being attend the liberation, achieve the nirvana, and they're going to put me in the miserable life conditions in the life after, and so yes, so understand this, and they are the true enemy. Those negative thoughts and negative mentality are the true enemies, because they will really kill our definite goodness. Definite goodness, that's our enlightened state of enlightenment, and they will put us in tie us up onto the wheel of this constant chain of chain us to the wheel of samsaric existence, the death and rebirth, and death again and again. So understand this, and then cultivate the wisdom, the kindness, compassion, and because we know that by the means of the wisdom, that is a pure realization, and the kindness, compassion as a skillful means, and we are what we are doing is we are doing and something that's from happiness and a place where we enjoy, appreciate the happiness and a happy life. Now we are going to a much better, a more prosperous and a place, meaning from happiness to and happier. Vice versa, if we allow empower and those negative thoughts, and then we will end up do the reverse, something that's meaning that from the painful in life experience, and it even goes to the most worstest one in the future. So anyway, that yes, so we must understand that what are we doing, and how we're doing it, and everything that has to be carefully managed. So this is actually called the practice, and this is the essence of the meditation. And so we need monitoring and be watchful to internally to our mind, and then see how it's doing all kinds of jobs, and how that kind of things affect us.
마게 속성기 워드 탐질라 도와라 차도 냠발란 레슴 마와라 나르길 또나 적 만인조나 콩도기위 와인 나밀 따인 스밀다오 뇨모 탐지기 나나 칼리와 대응 드난드무시 어떠치죠라.
Yes, one. So the following, and as one paragraph is read again on page 49. We are jealous of everyone, from the highest spiritual friend to the lowest lows. We are competitive with the equals, arrogant towards inferiors, become conceited when pressed, and angry when criticized or abused. Like the roaming of an unbridled horse, of all the disturbing emotions within us. This is the most restless.
Oh yeah, that the current was not. Tango Chitam meet on Chisojan and the drawing of strong around 70 Hujamatavena. person som be chaya so gong la yo tam chla chado jing go chado sen na chado se da gan ji ge na yin ji person tong ji mo zo ber de bi de yin de cha chi be de chado de ki on sem na jang person so ba tong zo mo ne chna de ji se na ji ga gong go ju de ma ji de li do ni de la ma ga wa ji ji ne sem na ma ke la ji ji ne o de yo shi da da yo de da yin na yang ji ni da de la ma ji ta ga cha shi lo de me de chado Densum said, Ketang of Densum Della, Ketang Rangtang China Mochi on a music, the Yahuda that the Yahuda, and so not the maculity in that, and Hadoko charging the Redina. Tuatama Rang Yambala, that Natilia, Konado in Sunday Samlo, Glong Chichini, that Nakonado, Chitanda Yamuchin Road and Dicko, Desum Go or the Shawakan and Desum Go. Could Desum the Timar, Tada digging Desum de Rang Ya Genazini, Jen Ma Tilim Yamnazni. Many Yamim Jina Nodo Marta, telling Mate Tilia Todo, Kong Alit Mag, Chawu Samni, the dig is some long about the Jason Sigur. That Delico, Sosu Maji Toina, Della Tonjon Jag, Sosumari, Mata Coli Yasu, Kota Gayo Marcetella, and Monijina, Mawala Henjit and Tola Jisira, Jembala Chichila Ningazuina, Passum Gichi, Rorum Chigi, Tugu or Damazu, Tilly Dodge in Tola Chadon. Nyambala Jesum Mawala Sosum Margilchi, Della Tonjong, sent the Samboyong, this Sambo the Tasitanga, so Yung Saga, Sawado thing, I said, Nanzin Delatin. Nga sing Nanzin Delatin, Nanzin Tea, the Gali Toas in the Nanzin Tea, you can go out and cause the capuchon, then Gali Toy on Sumagawa. Semagawa did Tradoki also tell a Magawa Sembe Sosola Dingingwood. Jesum Chiozo Sosola Dingingwood. Mall Chadochi, Jamba della Tonjon Chidu, Jen della Dingitio, Dingitito, Jen Dingle, Susoran the secret Tonton Lion, so Katam, also Makilam. Tinsada, Manin Tinsada, Sosola Topa Gona, Mawala Chadochi Yangamar, Maw Champion Chena, Sosola Topa Yangur. Nangalu tell it the Chadochi, Margil Chionso, Tonjon the Semoso, Jala Tonjon, Jenga, Azula Miniba Jo, Miniba Jona Sosola. Young Semnon control young Mana Magayong. Toba Jenchik Toba Jena, so contract you or Mata show to the social Taligania, Tombus in some digital telatinium, Jala Tonjon Jala, so something was up. Or that's how my young sat the Sawi, Nas at the Tidota, Martin the Delatidota, Tatan Dicatel, the Diga Semtela Dokuchuni Yama Tunkan, Tradotang, Ransom Tongue. Nargitam Tediga, one Korang, Kedono, Samlo King, Sambatica, Natala, Sabi, Kaloma to be Tanans, the Targunans, Tango Putelek, Lawachan to go, Marshal tomorrow, the Dinans, maybe Tanabe, you more Nana, Kayan Karawat, the Kokoro, such a Damil Tanjin, dating in Teres, Tinsa, Tadatan, Arang, Semte, the dig is sent to Yongsat Kanrazina, and Rang children be ginger child, that other kitten in the chair. Tradon this most did not do in the gym.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's very important for us to understand our mental performance, our mental activities, and our internal life. The mode of our internal life, and it definitely will affect our external social, the qualities of a social life, because we are a social part of this society and the communities, and so our attitude, and as soon as we approach anyone or run into anyone, and so what kind of attitude we have, and that much will manifested or affected the qualities and nature of our behavior. And so, like the author here suggested that and those untrained mind, or the ordinary person, their basic attitude and basic mind or mental state of being is almost like almost has no any ownership, meaning it's no discipline, and is free of a kind of discipline. And so those who make no discipline to one's own mind, and or not trained to discipline its own mind, and the other one is always doing follow those negative attitude and a negative mind. For example, in this again in the context of human relations in the social and how you behavior or present yourself and in the society in the community. We always again not untrained mind, the mind who has no any discipline, and then they will jealous those who and doing better than us. Okay? And then so when we see somebody who's more successful than us, and we will experience jealous, but no others. Okay? And then when we again meet with someone who is kind of doing about the equal well as we, and share some kind of similar status in the same position, similar as a position, and so we will experience this the competition. We try to compete with them and try to surpass whoever who are equal and then with us, equal with us, and so and then even sometimes we are hypocritical. And we kind of have a double faces. In society, we meet someone and who said this nice things about other, and say, "Oh, so and so did so well. That's great." And when they ask you, "Isn't it?" and you will say, "Yeah, no, that's great," and he or she did so well. They're great. And however, then you say, "But." Okay? You must use the words "but" and then begin to say something and try to point out the downside of it or negative aspect of that person, and try to and say that person is not as great as the whoever is pressed them or him or her. So this is the form of jealousy, right? And so yes, so our basic attitude is always so jealous for others who are doing better than us, and compete with others who share the same the status with us, and then another attitude that we're going to experience in general is that when we see someone who is lower or doing poor, not doing as well as ourselves, then we will become arrogant, and we become to sort of make laugh at them, or we tend to look down on them. So all this that we do is again because of the attitude and the negative attitude within us, or affect us, who sort of driving us to doing this kind of responded or acting in such a negative way. So our basic, actually, from a Buddhist and Dharma point of view, and what we should do is that we really genuinely should press and those who doing so well and very successful, and they enjoy some kind of higher something that's prestigious and something higher than us. We should feel press them and say the nice things about them. And then similarly, when we run into a situation as like our peers and our the co-workers and the friends, or someone who is like doing about the same type of thing, or doing the same, share the same similar status, and then we should not jealous, but we should take an attitude and to support him or her. And so for the first person, we press and show those who doing very well. We should press them and show our respect to them. And for the people who doing the same similar thing and doing equally well, and we should show that the respect and to support, but not jealous. And then for those who doing who is less fortunate than us and not doing as good as ourselves, we must show the compassion and love and kindness and try to support them and help them. So the simplest logic and for us to here the Dharma teaches us to do this is because when you press respect and those who are doing well, and now you will form a very harmonious relationship with this the type of people, and you will get their support, and so you will be benefited from by press them and show respect to their achievement. And similarly, if you support and share the respect, willing to the people with the same class or same status and can be better and or more successful, and you will forming a very healthy, strong, and genuine friendship. And you will, in return, you will get support and recognition and appreciation and a genuine friendship. And similarly, if you have the compassion and express your kindness to those who do in the less fortune, and then you do, and or doing but is doing something is poorer than yours, and if you show your compassion, and then you will gain the respect from them, and you will again get their support. So all these things shows that if you let your mind respond to those successful ones and with jealous, and then you sort of invite the destructive and emotions and to yourself, and then externally you damage the relations with them. And similarly, and when you express this competition attitude and a very competitive and try to sort of surpass your coworker and someone who shared equal status, try to surpass them, and then you will make them feel threatened, and in return, and so you will lose the friendship, and you will damage the friendship, and so you will suffer that way. And internally, externally, again, so you are creating this disharmonious environment and working or the family relationship. And finally, if you sort of look down, laugh at, and those who are lower or inferior, and then you could those people angry and very mad about you. So again, in return, you will experience something negative from it, and those who are lower or poor and then less fortunate than yours. See, this is the logic, and this is the reason. So therefore, and we must keep the press and show our respect to those who are successful than us, and also show the support and respect and recognition, appreciation for those who are doing the same thing and are equally good as us, and then have a compassion and for those who are not doing so successful. So this is the thing we needed to keep in mind, and we so this is our practice, and we must not, like the author here says, and let our mind do whatever the mind is pleased, or mind lets us do. If we do that, then just like author says, if we let our mind like the roaming of the unbridled horse, right? Unbridled horse, and let all the disturbance emotions and that sits within us and then manifest freely, and then we will experience the miseries and that's what we don't want to do. So anyway, the whole emotion and afflictive emotions, negative emotions arise. All of them, and because this uncontrolled or undisciplined self-cherishment. So this we must recognize. This is the principal cause of all the misery.
다 풍부가시 남아진다 풍부가는 소라던 신이 셈비 넘버시 풍부단 디로 되다 리스미오텔라 따요라 리스미오텔 노즈 때네 적당 지금 중앙가 되게 되는 중앙 되게 지금 되다 중앙가 때비 풍부텔라 따가비 따텔라 따 아주 망가세데 문지네 따가점지 따가비 따바지 마도 그런 왜 지금 다율당 지어지는 그 다율지 따바점 접바라마도 따사데 강라드나 this the 공봉아 중앙하게 그 공부텔라 따가비 nga지다 데데다 랑니 요바마이나 당니 요바면 다 요바칼라지 세데 그래서 그렇죠. 또 도지 공부대응 파 자니 손 중앙하거나 파 따가따가 손 듣는 거 중앙하게 듣는 파 팀도 듣는 거는 듣대응 파 따가따가 손 근데 듣까지 파 듣하는 거 손에 매와 차고 진짜 도지 따는 가로도 라지 통지오주 공부 도지 공부대응 되게 뭐 전에 문제지나 데라 딱빙하다 가네 요 말, 딱바 점지마 또요 말스. 딱바 점 되게 샤워시기 요래. 데라 때닝 아주 게득 그노 초와 데득 소와 처마 망가 용거가 용아도 데라 때점 그 쳤스 맞지. 도지 공부가라 딱빙하 당 전세 되니까 그 소라 동용로 지가티나 데리지트나 아주 못했니 되지 당 게슨 페어라 캬브리 요르지.
So we're talking about this self-cherishment is the principal cause of all the miseries, and through the analysis, the cases, and we have talking about it, it is quite clear that what is what our practices are. So again, in general, and as I, then as a phenomena, right? And as something, and we are talking about now, and so we have to from time to time to study this very concepts of I, because it's related to the self-cherishment, I or self, and the right person, and there are synonyms, and so I in general, and if you, from Buddhist point of view, if you study this very phenomena, you will see the I essentially is a designated entity or is a phenomena, is a nominal. It's a nominal, but it is not substantial, but rather is a nominal, and it is nominal and not substantial, and it's because what we have here, when you look in the very sort of building blocks, right, of you as I or person or self, and from Buddhist point of view, there are 5 aggregates or 5 skandhas there. So the 5 skandhas or 5 aggregates, when so let's say that's just in the simplify this matter of the terminology. Let's say that I essentially is related to the from different perspectives, say related to the two things, one that is body and mind. Okay? Body and mind. So body is something apparent and obviously, and we believe that's something we can point out, right? And it seems that prior to any critical analysis, it seems out there is objectively is verifiable. But in fact, if you apply these the tools of analytical examine it analytically or apply critical analysis, you will see the body actually is constitutes or comprised of the 5 proto elements, right? Earth, fire, space, right? Wind and water. So as you know. And there's no really within this structure or kind of a substantial or concrete entity within this object, right? There's no really I. The I is sort of been nominated, right, or designated or labeled upon to that very object. That object is essentially the constituents of or consisting of the 5 proto elements, right? So they are not substantial. Essentially, they are not substantial, really, or substantial compared as how it appears in our mind. And then, when you look in this I, right, and so since it is not really the identical with our body, right, so it's nominated or labeled. So therefore, like in the Buddhist Sutra, it says, if very I or the self that you claim does not inherently exist, then everything that related to that very I, such as me or mine, is of course and naturally does not exist. So therefore, its short form says, if I does not exist, how come there is me or mine things that belong to this I able to prove is existed, right? So if we think of this, right, and then look at this thing, look at this very important philosophical point, and we know I and if you look at this I from the substantial point of view, from a concrete eternal point of view, and yes, it is not there. It does not exist that way, but it does exist as a nominate. As nomination, as the result of labeling, as the result of established through the nomination, or sort of a nominal phenomena, but not the substantial phenomena. And that very nominal and labeled or designated I, and due to the ignorance, right, and experience all kinds of desire, happiness, and sufferings, and angers, and so on and so forth. So therefore, that the eternal or inherently existed I does not exist, or lack of existence, which is absence, and therefore the me or anything mine followed or related to that I, of course, and is naturally cannot established or does not exist. But that's nominated or designated I, as I said again and before, and due to the ignorance and experience all kinds of the attachment and aversions and or afflictions.
다 지금도 양수 저거 용거다 지금 셰바보 싸와 코라 셰바보 테네 마릭바 당전들이 되게 다 지금 양수 저거 용거 때 자당 아주 상대 땅든 좀 봤대 로신지 로르서 거 상대 땅든 좀 봐. 뭐인 일기 파 시송와이나 근데 코로나 어다 오랑진 시송나 때 그런 일이 뭐마도 시용나 내려비는 비디쇼텔라 착당도 봐 용래 손에 진당 이때면 자다를 양 용래 손에 아니 독속골로도 뭔지 기록 소를 아니 어타라던 집에 남나고 그래서 그래 대자당이 저 동시하고 내가 뭐마 땅이 가정 엄마도 시용 개똥 거는 오늘 전에 지금하고 상마 인세 지금하고 용거 땅아니 맞지가 자산을 상황 받을 때서 개인지 그 자동차 키우네 마두 니나 자동마저 저한테 저기 끝이길라서 되는 이 땅에 삼도 지당 야 겐 무직게 그래서 되는 게 삼도는 뜻다 저기 끝이 무도 다 정마도 다 다와 참고 통주다 뒤한치는 게 정마도 무슨 제시기 오마로다 이게 삼도 단데 뜻이는 게 디나 자강 리턴 내가 참나 드라이브 코스 때 정마세 저기 그 정마세 때 가지고나 카나나나 같이 나오는 땅 가는 라섬도는 정마 지출로는 내가 양도 셈나 드라이브 코스 때는 게 때 셈나는 가는 게 렌작하면 카치는 아이 카치나 요르지나 베나 치로는 지나라사구나 어때 마사마사지니 카도 쪼바르지니 사금 정도 농성 많이 부르다 근데 칸나 지금 마던잖아 미즈 베트 마사마도 쿡 하나 레소지니 쪼바스도 카나나면 카종도 때는 겐들라이 겐드 페손 겐니 수자데 조다 나트와즈도 카르세 줄 아니 단다 주이 저거 무치되게 아니 정말이 카치라요는 나라요를 겐티 삼노지도네 사바디 카야파드즈니 든 로드 소게트 나도 와서 땡이 드와레 땡이 남지 삼당고 땡아라서 중문지 삼당고 하지래 정말 카나라 카치라요네 근데 카칠 나라 요에나 답이나 나도 툴르톤 실와 치마이 떠나 사도 쪽바르진 참에 쪽았어도 와 근데 카나 정말 말도 와 아니 카나도 치콩 정말 요랬대 티 맞더니 짜고 하지랬시라 땡이 다 삼투시긴 들어줘 디디낭라 삼로 땅스테 정마세 때 거한데 nga 정마이 세 진도와 정말 낭라도 칠라데 근데 바빠 바로라니 코파 낭로 어디 그만 흘러 줘봐라 똑같이다 상처도 용서 정말이 되는 거라 진짜다 나세 때 가는데 나세 정마세 때 가는데 진짜 되게 나타나지 되네 나 딱봐 가서 되게 럼베지 멈추는 그래서 정디 타던 좀 봤을 때 세는 그래서 좀 싫어해 주던데 텔라 삼로 당네 공잡지
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's continue to examine the principle, the topic of the day, and or the principal causes of all the miseries. That is, rather is a misperception of self of person, right? The misconception of self of person or I generally. So that's very interesting. And when you look in this very issue, and it sounds like something that's a kind of a involved with some sort of higher academic sort of a study, but in fact it is affect our day-to-day life, and so it's not the theory, but rather is a practical and everyday life experience. And I say this because when you examine your I, your sense of I, your general sense of I, you see there's your sense of I and sort of marked by 4 qualities. Okay. Those 4 qualities is that first of all, when you claim I, your general and the I is that it appears as something that's eternal. Okay, is prominent. Right? And then the second is that your I is clean or pure. Okay, So your eyes, when you consider yourself, is you will consider you are pure. Yourself is something that's pure and or clean. And then next, you will consider yourself is a independent entity, is Unitarian, is inherently existed entity. Right? So that's the third sort of qualities of I, and a third mark of your own person in general. And then lastly, so you generally will when the I appear and in your mind, you will think that or your basic perception of yourself is a happy or is a pleasant one. So happy or pleasant. So your I is generally, again, so it has four marked by four qualities, and permanent or eternal, like pure or clean, and inherently existed or independently existed. And then finally is a happy or pleasant. The reality is that you as a person is not like this, right? So we feel this way, we even believe this way, and that's because we are under the influence of ignorance. So when you really see the true nature of this type of I, I being identified such a way, if you realize this is a horrible mistake, right? And it's a misview, it's a misperception, right? And then you will able to free yourself from this what do we call technically the samsara, or the sufferance of a samsaric existence, right? So yeah, so we can't really find that when you see the reality and as it is, right? And you will know that there's nothing really and absolutely objectively and you can find there, right? Here I would like to share a story with you related to this, or in other words, sort of the way how I did something related to this subject, and it's I consider it's the interesting thing I have done, and I'm still working on that. The story goes back to a monastery many years ago. At one occasion, I was designated a person who needed to. By the way, in the monastery, we take a turn and to the cook for the entire monastic communities, the entire college. So at one point, I was it was my turn, and I was serving as a cook, and then in the kitchen in the monastery, in the monastery. And one all the senior monk will come in and with a teapot, and who approached the kitchen and asked me, told me, so this please give me some tea, pour in some tea in this teapot, and make sure you clean the teapot and give me a clean tea, because this tea is going to serve important reincarnated lama, a Zhugu, the reincarnated lama. And so upon to hear what he said, or his request, and it triggered my curiosity. And my first reaction is, what this senior monk is asking about? What he asking for? Because the same tea come from a big pot, and so. And I can't really make it something special or clean, and other than just the tea in there's a huge teapot. And secondly, that from there I also thought what it really is cleanness come from is inside or outside, right? If the inside, and then where is really located? If the outside, then where is exactly and is located? So then from there, and I began to think of more other things, because to me it's clear that I can't really find this so-called cleanness or stainless anyway. So then up until that point, the senior monk returned, asked me, and they gave the tea. So I gave him the tea, but then I asked him, I said, you venerable senior monk, would you please tell me where this cleanness is located? You're going to take and serve your reincarnated Lama back to your house or your room. And it's inside the teapot or outside the teapot. And please point. Really? Oh, okay. My mistake. I heard in Geshe-la, and so the senior monk actually didn't ask for this clean tea, but rather he says, please make sure you give the clean tea because our reincarnated Lama, my reincarnated Lama, or the Trugu, need a clean tea. Right? He need to be clean, or pure, remain pure or clean. And then, yes, then I thought about what this cleanness come from. Is it inside or outside? Is the inside of this reincarnated Lama's mouth, outside of the reincarnated Lama's mouth? If the outside, and then that's problem. If the inside is not a problem. So then at that point, yes, he returned. This senior monk returned, as I said. So I asked him, say, senior monk, would you please tell me where is this cleanness of your master or the reincarnated Lama is located? Is it within your reincarnated Lama's mouth? Is it outside of your Lama's mouth? And so he paused and then thought about it and said, you an undisciplined new arrival, and shut up. So then he left. Because obviously, he felt this contradictory. He can't answer the question directly. But the point I'm making is that in general, we think, other than ourself is eternal, right, and independent, and naturally pleasant or happy. We also think ourselves naturally think we are clean. But the cleanness itself is really troublesome, because when you say the clean, if the clean thing is inside, right? Then, for example, if you take a bite of food, right? You chewing on that, right? If the cleanness is inside your mouth, as soon as you bite and you're chewing, and then you take out and want to give it somebody, and then people say, no, it's not clean, unclean. I don't want it. You already did it. It suggests that your mouth, the inside of your mouth is the dirty, right? The dirtiness is inside your mouth. So therefore, the food, the pureness of the food is being polluted. So therefore, it strongly suggests that the dirty, something is stain and or bad, which is inside, located within your mouth. However, it seems the food outside is clean. but when you look at it, that is outside is unclean, and then so we normally point out the things that's outside is not clean. So we don't take it because it is not clean. We fear that we're going to pollute it or do something bad for us. So therefore, it is not really absolutely outside, and it's not also absolutely internal. But we do believe ourselves is clean, and so our cleanness is actually is not true at all, because see, when you're looking inside your body, right, from your skin, right, and the first layer of your skin and into the muscles beneath the skin, right, muscles, and so all parts of your body and inside of right, and up part of your body and the down part of your body. So anyway, there's no really anything clean at all, and because of that reason, we use the bathroom, right? We make it that it's very private and keep the for ourselves. And why is because we consider that something that's not clean, but yet we acting like as if we are clean, and even though that's not the case. So I'm going to request you now, and so this is your homework. I hope you take this idea of cleanness and go through the process of this searching and try to track down or find out that your sense of cleanness, see where it is cleanness really is located, where it is where you can go and find about it. Then so we can go other times to do the same examination, such as like the permanent eye, where is it, and also the pleasant eye, and inherently exists the eye. But for this for today, and until next time, and your homework is to examine the cleanness, the clean or something, the cleanness of yourself. Lo so da. Tini aku gangi dan din tes nga to par sa so. Ori ta sa ga to na ke sa ma de shu la no lo na ta ko kanon ni sa ma de shu lo na ko ma sang ga no ga de yang ga sa de ga no la sa ma men no ga ti ta ta ga so ro. Chi ga de zi de ko sa to no de ni ben
칼라사이나 마사마스 또 쪼가르서도 돼. 마사마스 쪼가르서 나로 정말 막 다시 거려.
Yeah, I thought it was a little bit made unclear. So anyway, then let me repeat what I asked the question. So the cleanness, if it's inside the mouth, because when we after the first bite or after we chew the food and we give it somebody, the people generally will not take it because they think it's not clean. And if we think that something is outside, the clean is dirty. Something is dirty is outside, and or cleanness is outside. Once you pouring down the ground, the floor, right, and the food or the tea, and or something that's generally considered clean, as soon as touch the ground, and we say, hey, don't touch it because it's not clean. It seems to suggest it's outside, so therefore, You go ahead and examine where those cleanness really are located.
Now we're gonna say Lambrin prayer on page number 80.
de ma zon le zero Jiang de yang jie zi le jie zong de bie ren wa gong cang lang jie zhong nie ne zhu bei jiang nyang ye zhi Rang ye jie shen do be lang jie xiu zhang ye wei zhang wei dang bi zhou wei ye jie men ba san jie Yahweh dan ba yu dan jin dan ba ren jin chou ye ma chou cha zhang yang ber zhi wei shou de Yang jie chen bo yan ra jiu ma de sa war che bar se jie yang wei ma xiong chen la du chang jiu lang jie ren bei ta du nang ye ye la ba de Yahweh de ba han de zhong Lang zong de bei de jian de xi zhang ga jian ze jie ne dang ce ro gong de Yahweh wang Nam dang dang zhe wer ma zhi gong zi de ma zhou lan zhi zhu ce xian zheng la zong ba de yi te de nang jie do de zhong xi zhao xi yang zong shu gong chao zhi jie ba dian zhe wei la ma ren bu ji da jie jie nian ge wang mi dang zhi la da jie jian bo gu ni ji zong de bo zong de ye mi zhe za de su chang zhe sen zhuo ren bu qi ma jie ba nan qi zhi jie jie wa nian ba me ba ra yang gong ne gong de me wer shu gang ren ra wei gu wei sheng gong zi bian dang de wa ma le zhong wei ne zhe le zong de jie yang zu 小别是的我都在日记，然后把我觉得人也把当更多上不这样的人的铁道跟进也是那个路。给我的大堂子让的我就是小别要谈之间，我看了就对我把的当心给予早晚的我家上我就是让的我儿子看的中的，等把的心结等真结我当结我的结我那的结中。
Sanje
Denpa
Denpa Tado
Tado Jinjira Chi Tsariro Kandu Yawa Zongpa We Tishu Shinye Ngesen Zapi Ti
Yahweh Mabe Losan
Tenye
Denye
Le Kachi Zayang Dobar Majir Chi Mulum Lope Yahweh Dampa La Kuwe Nacho Sunan Zumi
Samju
Nyambe
Nyembe
Juba
Juba
Male
Male
Wa
Chuso
Chuso Dembe
Dembe
Zale
Zale
Jir Chi Sinje Napa Jinye Ba
Nyudo
Nyudo Nale
Nele
Tarjir Chi
Rowe Nene Malu Pa Tado Shungwa Mebar Sho Oh ya Allah.